visiting Bulldogs from Butler and your Georgetown Hoyas. At this time, we'll meet the starting lineup, beginning first with Butler. Leading off to the Bulldogs in center field, number 19, Kate Lehner. Batting second in left field, number 12, Haley Conger. In the 3 spot, at first base, number 17, McKenna Alexander. Batting cleanup today. At shortstop, number 29, Olivia Robards. Batting fifth. At third base, number 1, Kayla Price. In the 6 hole, the designated player, number 9, Alana Boydston. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 13, Kylie Ryan. Batting eighth in left field, number 4, Paxton Law. Rounding out the order for Butler today. At second base, number 25, Rachel Hunt. In the circle, pitching for the Bulldogs,
Rachel Hunt is
number 8, Alex Johnson. Butler is led by head coach Scott Hall, assisted by Mallory Winters, Bryce Small, and Corey Rywalt. And now, your starting lineup for your Georgetown Hoyas. Leading off for the Hoyas at second base, number 23, Roman. Batting second in left field, number 14, Gabby Hart. In the 3 spot, the designated player, number 24, Naya Campos. Batting cleanup today at shortstop, number 3, Taylor Francis. Batting fifth at first base, number 8, Emily Strittmatter. In the 6th hole, in right field, number 4, Danny Koo. Batting seventh, the catcher, number 17, Devin Johnson. Batting eighth at third base, number 19, Nina Salu. Running out the order for your Hoyas at center field, number 12, Claire Turner. In the circle, pitching for your Hoyas today, number 15, Catherine Larson. Georgetown softball is led by head coach Carla Ross, assisted by Amelia Leck. Fans, at this time, we would ask you to please rise if you're able, remove your caps as we honor America, its freedoms, and those who protect us, both at home and abroad, with the playing of our national anthem.
Big East Softball is on the air. We welcome you to a rainy, overcast day in our nation's capital for a pivotal series finale rubber match between the Georgetown Hoyas and the Butler Bulldogs. Good afternoon, everyone. Ben Curtis here with you on the air for what is a critical battle between these two sides that have played a fascinating series so far. It's a battle between, as it stands, the last team in and the first team out of the Big East postseason picture. The top four will make it on to Chicago and the Big East tournament. Butler sitting in fourth right now with a 10-7 conference record. Georgetown sitting in fifth, 2 games back of Butler at 8-9 in the Big East. A Butler win would put the Bulldogs firmly in the driver's seat to make it into the postseason. A Georgetown win would leave it all to play for heading into the final 6 conference games of the season for each of these two sides. Just about ready to go here with Georgetown taking the field in their traditional final game of the series pinstripes. Butler is ready to go as well with the former all-conference star Kate Lehner, the center fielder, in the lefty batter's box. And we are underway with a first pitch on the outside corner for strike number 1. Lehner, first team All-Big East selection each of the last 2 years, hitting .380 here in 2026, although without a hit in Butler's win yesterday, a game that ended up with the scoreline being a much more lopsided affair than what the actual contest was. A 9-1 run rule victory for Butler in 5 innings. All 9 of the runs for the Bulldogs coming in the 4th frame. Georgetown actually took a 1-0 lead in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And after winning 4-0 in the first game of this series, it looked like the Hoyas were well on their way. But 9 runs in the 4th, including 4 with 2 outs, propelled Butler to the run rule victory as this one flat back up the middle. There's Taylor Francis with a strong throw for the first out of the inning, and a good start for Catherine Larson, who was dynamite in that Friday victory for Georgetown over Butler. 7 complete game shutout innings for Catherine Larson. She gave up just 4 hits. She struck out 8, and crucially, she didn't walk a batter. She has now gone 17 in the 3rd, while allowing only 1 walk the last 4 outings, including this one more, make it 5 for Larson. The first pitch runs upstairs to Haley Conger, who in the victory yesterday for Butler broke Lehner's runs scored record. That was number 43 of 2026 for Conger, breaking a record that had stood for all of 1 year for Butler, when the center fielder Lehner scored 42 herself back in a strong 2025 for her. So right back to work for Conger. Let the count even up at a ball and a strike. That one does catch the outside corner, and it's 1-2. Larson trying to get out in front early and often on this talented Butler lineup as this one slapped down the right field line. It's a foul ball. Conger, one of 2 Butler hitters hitting over 400, along with McKenna Alexander, who's on deck. Olivia Robards, Kayla Price, and Alona Boydston, the middle 3rd of the order, by the way, for Butler. Keely Ryan, Paxton Law, and Rachel Hunt rounding out the starting 9 for the Bulldogs. Larson back in the circle for the 2nd time this series. It'll be interesting to see the adjustments that Butler makes after not getting anything going on the freshman Larson on Friday. Catherine Larson has really become the ace of this Georgetown staff and what's been a remarkable turnaround in year number 2 for Carla Ross's side. 8-9, a chance to get back to 500 in conference play, and a potential massive surprise berth in the Big East tournament for a team that was picked towards the very, very bottom of the Big East standings in the preseason poll. Hoyas have confounded expectations so far, and a chance for a big series win to put them right in the postseason picture. The 2-2 to Conger. Poked, fouled on the 3rd base line. We'll do it all over again. The rest of the Hoya defense, by the way, already met Taylor Francis at shortstop. Nina Sarlos at 3rd. Brooke Rebhan at 2nd. Emily Stripmatter at 1st as the rest of the infield. Devin Johnson is back behind the plate in an all-freshman battery along with Larson. The outfield from left to right, Gabby Park, Claire Turner, and Danny Koo. Conger has worked this count full. Conger is very patient. 22 walks already this season. Has improved her on-base percentage to over 500. She's got a 507 clip in that department. And a big reason why is her ability to see a lot of pitches as she fouls off another one down the 3rd base line. It's now 3 foul balls the other way already here in the opening at-bat between Larson and Conger after Lehner's leadoff ground out. And the more that this Butler dugout can get a chance to see Larson a 2nd time from the dugout, the more it's going to come back to help them later on. And Conger certainly making Larson labor for this one. Another payoff pitch to the right fielder. Is in the air, center field. Turner on her way back, and she can't run it down. At one hops the wall. Conger's on her way to second base. She'll stop there, and a tremendous at-bat for Haley Conger to get the Bulldogs set up here in the first. The ninth pitch of the at-bat. Haley Conger delivers. And Butler with an opportunity to strike here early on for among the most dangerous hitters, not only on this Butler side, but in the conference as a whole. McKenna Alexander hitting .454 with 12 home runs, 49 RBIs. He had a 3-run homer in that big fourth inning yesterday to really salt the game away. That made it 9-1 and helped open up the possibility and the eventuality of the run rule victory. Now she bats here with first base open, and she lines one right back up the middle into center field. Turner bobbled it, so the throw will be cut off. And it's an RBI single for McKenna Alexander, number 50 of the season. And it's 1-0 Butler. Just like that, that's exactly how you would draw it up from your number 2 and number 3 hitters. Was about to say was going to be interesting to see whether or not Larson pitched to Alexander to really challenge her with first base open. She did. And she made her pay for it. So Alexander now draws level with Cameron Dunn for second in the conference in RBIs with 50 overall on the season, conference and non-conference games included. And when you factor in just the Big East play, she sits solidly in third in that department too, 23 conference runs driven in. And Butler strikes first in this pivotal Sunday showdown. Doesn't get much easier here with Olivia Robards up next. Robards hitting .309 herself. She's driven in 21 runs. A deep lineup here this year for the Bulldogs. The shortstop in the cleanup role with plenty of power. First offering to her, rather the 1-0 is on the outside edge for a strike. Robards, one of the veteran leaders of this team. Senior out of Evansville, Indiana, staying pretty close to home to play for the Bulldogs, riding a 5-game hitting streak. She bounces this one foul, and it's 1-2. The RBIs have dwindled a bit for Robards once conference play has rolled around. She's got just 2 in her last 7, just 3 in her last 9 games. But when she gets hits and when she can drive in runs, she often does so in bunches over the course of the game. The 1-2 is bounced the other way. Gets past Rebhan and into right field. Alexander will stop at second, but it's 3 straight hits for the Bulldogs here in the first. Rebhan moving to her left, usually so sure-handed. That one just skipped over her glove. And everyone's going to come together in the circle to talk things over for Georgetown, facing some adversity here early on in the opening frame. And a couple of hard hit balls from Conger, Alexander, and now Robards. Kayla Price will be the next to bat for the Bulldogs. Sitting .318 this season, she's driven in 24 runs. 2 more RBI opportunities out there for the freshman from Wisconsin after the senior Robards kept the line moving. Now he's among the youngest players to start for Butler. She hits one slowly to the third base side. Larson will pick it up. It's going to be ruled a foul ball. It went off of Price's leg. So the count is 0-1, and Larson will be quite pleased with that because that would have been a very difficult play to get the freshman from Georgetown, Wisconsin. Ball was hit not hard at all, and Price can run well. So instead she'll hit one right at Sarlo, feels it, steps on third, and throws across the diamond for a double play. Hard hit ball from Price, and the Hoyas are able to get a double play to get out of it. But an RBI single from McKenna Alexander gives Butler a 1-0 lead here in the opening frame. Bottom half of the first inning, and it is 1-0 Butler, courtesy of McKenna Alexander's 50th run driven in of the campaign. So Georgetown will go to work on offense for the first time today. Brooke Rebhan, Gabby Park, Nia Campos, the top third of the order. Taylor Francis, Emily Stripmatter, Danny Koo, the middle third. Devin Johnson, Nina Sarlo, and Claire Turner will round out the starting lineup for the Hoyas this afternoon against Alex Johnson, the freshman who is getting her first look at the Hoyas on the season, as opposed to Catherine Larson, who pitched on Friday. Butler will roll out a different arm in the freshman Johnson, who has not pitched since April the 10th. It's been a full 9 days. That was last Friday against UConn, where she gave up 6 runs on 4 1/3, 9 hits, walked 2 and struck out 2 in what was a game that really got away from Butler against UConn, a 16-3 defeat. Only 6 conference outings so far this season for Johnson. This is number 7, and she throws her first strike of the afternoon against Rebhan, and it's 2-1. Rebhan on the campaign, leading the team in batting average with a .353 mark. Excellent speed were she to get on base. 10 stolen bases on the season. Johnson throwing up the strike zone now a little bit more, and it's 2-2. An important double play for Georgetown to get out of a jam in the top half of the first with only the 1 run allowed. Butler at first and second, and only the 1 away, and then Price hit one hard at the third baseman Sarlo, who stepped on the bag and threw across the diamond to limit the damage, and limiting the damage is something that Georgetown has really struggled to do the last couple of games. 21 of the last 25 runs that Georgetown has allowed, they've allowed in innings with crooked numbers. Rarely will Georgetown allow just the 1. They've run into some trouble when they've allowed the 1 to turn into 2 or 3, or in the case yesterday in the 4th inning, 9 for Butler. But an improvement for Georgetown to be able to limit the damage, and a really good sign to be able to do so as well. And now they can go to work on the offensive end with only the 1 run to chase, and still a lot of runway left to go and chase it. Rebhan, the junior out of Miami, Florida, with a 2-2 offering coming up. Takes it downstairs, and the count is full. Rebhan, so far this series, 3 for 6, RBI, a pair of runs scored. In fact, she has scored a run in 4 straight games, and 10 of the last 11 contests, dating all the way back to the end of March. Payoff pitch is downstairs, and that's one of the reasons why she has been able to score as much as she has. Patience for Rebhan to work a good at-bat, and now we'll see if she's on the move with Gabby Park coming up to the plate next, and the ever-dangerous RBI threat in Campos after her. So here is Park. So far on the week, 3 for 7. All 3 of those hits coming in the first of the 2 games. Squaring around to Butt, popping it up third base side. It will drop foul. A welcome sign for the Hoyas to see that one drop, as Butler nearly grabbed a free out. We'll see if Park will square around again now that she's shown her hand. It's in 6 of the last 8 games for Park. It's an excellent defensive weapon as well in left field. Now she'll square around and take one upstairs for ball and a strike. Average sitting at 287 for Park, which is right around where it's hovered for most of the season. It hasn't gone below 250 or over 300 since March the 20th, really at the start of conference play. This one's back up the middle. The second baseman Hunt has one play. It's at second, and she makes it for the first out of Georgetown's day. Law, Lehner, and Conger from left to right in the outfield. Price and Robards on the left side of the infield. Hunt and Alexander on the right side. And it is Keely Ryan who is catching Alex Johnson this afternoon. A battle of freshmen in the circle on a Sunday that could have huge implications, and it doesn't look as though Butler wants anything to do with Nia Campos at the moment. With first base open, and how dangerous Campos has been not only this weekend but all season long and throughout her entire career. Campos, the senior now out of Tucson, Arizona, has been one of the Big East premier hitters the last few seasons, especially from the left side. Butler has made a habit of putting her on base. This will be walk number 5 of the series for Naya Campos, who has only registered 2 official at-bats all weekend. But the intentional walk will put runners at first and second base for Taylor Francis, and that's always a little extra chip on the shoulder of the next player on deck. And the player in front of you is intentionally walked, and it's communicated essentially that they would rather face you. You want to make them pay for that decision. Francis certainly has the capability to do so. Taking one downstairs, Rebhan got a really good secondary lead. But she will retreat, and it's 1-0 to the freshman out of New Jersey. Looking for her first hit of the weekend. 0 for 3, but does have a run driven in from Friday. That one is at the knees for a strike, and it's 1-1. Contrary to Campos, who walks a lot, Francis has not generated that many free passes, especially as of late, only 2 in the last 8 contests. So if something is in and around the zone, she's going to be offering at it. Chance to answer back to the 1 run that Butler scored in the top half of the first with 1 or more of Georgetown's own. It's a good take, though, from the freshman, and it's 2-1. So Alex Johnson running into a little bit of adversity here in the opening frame. Freshman has not had a ton of help behind her. She's had 9 unearned runs given up already in just 37 innings of work. Dotting the corner that time, and it's 2-2. That's an excellent pitch to Francis. Johnson, who has oscillated impressive and disappointing outings the last 4. 3 scoreless against Creighton, then 3 runs in 1 inning against Creighton, and a scoreless outing against Indiana, then the 6 runs she allowed against UConn. That one's downstairs, and the count is full, and we'll see now if that starts the runners. The lead runner, Rebhan, with far better speed than the trail runner, Campos, who may just follow the lead runner, Rebhan, if she does go. They're trusting Francis to protect the plate here with 2 strikes, the freshman. A 3-2 offering is just off the plate. That's an excellent take from Francis, and as soon as we talk about how reluctant she is to take a walk, she works a really impressive one to load up the bases for Emily Stripmatter. Oh, it feels like an important at-bat here still very early on. Falls to the junior Stripmatter. 3 for 5 with an RBI so far this weekend, hitting .295 on the season. Hits one back up in the middle. The second baseman Hunt will flip to second base for 1 on to first to double play. Just as Georgetown got out of the top half of the first without any more damage done, Butler escapes with nothing on the board. A 4-6-3 twin killing. And we are through 1 inning with the Bulldogs getting out of it with nothing across for Georgetown. Through 1, it's 1-0 Butler. Rain continuing to fall here as we head to the second inning of play, and it will be 6, 7, and 8 due up for Butler. And it'll be Alana Boydston who will lead things off, and the first pitch is slapped over towards her own dugout, and Keely Ryan, who is awaiting on deck. Pretty sure it's Keely Ryan, as we endeavor to make sure that our scorebooks are not smudged by the rain that is continuing to fall. But Boydston, the designated player, to lead off the second inning after Price bounced into the 5-3 double play. Butler with all the momentum back, though. After a 4-6-3 double play, got the Bulldogs out of a bases-loaded one-out jam. Boydston quickly behind the count here, 0-2, the 220 hitter. 14 runs driven in on the season, and the 0-2 misses outside. More walks than strikeouts for Boydston so far this season. Reliable sophomore to put the ball in play. Primarily a catcher a season ago in her freshman campaign. This one's over towards Francis, who has to make a long throw across the diamond, and she does so in time for the first out of the inning. That will send Ryan to the plate with one out and nobody on. Keely Ryan doing the catching duties this afternoon for the Bulldogs. And start something up just as Conger did after a leadoff ground out. She doubled, and now this one's into the left center, or rather the left field corner, I should say. And it's run down by Park for the second out of the inning. So a chance for a real bounce back for Catherine Larson. After giving up the run and a bunch of traffic in the first inning, you can go through the bottom part of this Butler order, 1, 2, 3. That'll give you a little bit more confidence and a little bit more momentum heading into the heart of your outing. First pitch to the sophomore Paxton Law misses outside. Law 2 for 2 day yesterday. It was her first multi-hit day since April the 2nd. It's been about 2.5 weeks. This one's bounced towards Sarlo, but it's a foul ball. And it's a ball and a strike. Rain really starting to come down now. It was pretty heavy for most of the morning here in D.C. Started to lighten up towards game time, and we played most of the bottom half of the first inning without any rain. And now it's starting to get a little bit into the heavier stuff all over again. What is a mostly dirt field here at the GW softball complex. The only real dirt is in the pitcher circle. Everything else is turf. The 2-1 is back over towards Francis. High throw, but a good stretch from Strittmatter, and a 1-2-3 inning worked by Catherine Larson. That's just what the doctor ordered as Georgetown goes back to work, chasing a 1-0 deficit. So we head to the bottom of the second in D.C. Bottom two here in the western corner of our nation's capital. 1-0 Butler, and it will be 6, 7, and 8 due up for Georgetown, just as it was for Butler, and Alex Johnson looking for a cleaner second inning than she had at first. But a 4-6-3 double play turned by Hunt and Robarns and Alexander got her out of a bases loaded and one out jam in the bottom half of the first to preserve a 1-0 Bulldog advantage. In case you're just joining us, this game with massive postseason implications. Top 4 teams will make the postseason in the Big East tournament. Butler 4th, Georgetown 5th. And Butler with a 2-game edge on the Hoyas right now. So with 6 games left to play in conference play for each of these two sides, after this one comes to a close, if it's a Butler win and the margin is 3 games with 6 to go as Koo strikes out looking for the first strikeout of Johnson's day. It's 3 with 6 to go. That's not it done and dusted yet, but would make things very, very difficult for Georgetown, especially having to go and play two of the top 3 teams in the conference to close things out in Providence and UConn. If the Hoyas win, then it's just a 1-game lead, plus Georgetown would have the tiebreaker via the head-to-head. And if, of course, Butler wins, having split the series so far, then they would have the tiebreaker, and that 3-game margin essentially becomes 4 with 6 games left to go. So it really all hinges on this Sunday afternoon. Devin Johnson taps one foul, and it's a ball and a strike. Johnson has really impressed in her first year behind the plate for the Hoyas, both on the offensive end and the defensive end especially. That's been where she's been most critical. Freshman who decided to stay home and play for the Hoyas. DC Gatorade Player of the Year. St. John's College High School just down the road. That one is upstairs and outside, and it's 2 balls and a strike. She has faltered a little bit on the offensive end as of late. 0 for her last 11. As we already mentioned, the defense has been flawless, and that's really what keeps her name being on the lineup card game after game as the 2-1 she swings over the top, and it's 2-2. Two-time first-team All-WCAC selection. That's one of the top athletic conferences, not only in the region, but anywhere you can find in the country. The 2-2 offering to Johnson, poked in the air, shallow center field. Later on the move, and she won't get there. It drops in between her and Hunt. And a 1-out bloop knock for Devin Johnson. That's exactly what you need sometimes to get out of a little skid. An 0 for 11 slump is no more on a ball that had less exit velocity than a couple of outs so far already made. But Johnson finds herself on board. And Starlow will bat with a base runner here with 1 out in the second inning. Starlow playing third base, already started up 1 double play for Georgetown. That game in the important top half of the first inning to limit the damage to 1-0. If Larson, or rather Starlow, I should say, doesn't make that play to get Larson out of the jam, and that double play that Georgetown hit into could be even larger. This one should be more playable for Lehner. She comes in. Oh, the wind just knocked it down. And everybody's going to be safe. The wind is blowing in towards home plate from center field, and what looked to be an easy enough play for Lehner, it just died on her. And a courageous diving effort from Lehner was enough to knock it down, but not enough to make the play. And 2 bloop hits have the Hoyas set up here. And Claire Turner, who will watch that from the on-deck circle and know that center field might be a difficult position to play today, will now bat with 2 on and only the 1 out. Third baseman Price is way in, expecting the number 9 hitter to bunt with the ever-dangerous Rebhand on deck. First pitch is on the outside edge at the knees, and it is 0-1. Already the Hoyas have left some runners on base, trying to avoid doing so again with the number 9 hitter Turner. 0-2 now. Turner has spent a good bit of time in the leadoff spot, not only this year, but over the last couple of campaigns. Now in kind of that wraparound role in the number 9. Hitting .254 on the season. She's driven in a dozen runs. Now the 0-2. Bounced over towards Price, will tag the lead runner Johnson, and that's the only out that the Bulldogs get, but it's an important one to go and get the lead runner. Turner replaces Johnson, so good speed on the base paths now, with Starlow being the lead runner at second, and Turner in the trail at first for Brooke Rebhand, who walked and was stranded at third in the bottom half of the first. Top of the order now for the Hoyas, looking to avoid stranding 4 runners in the first 2 innings of a critical conference game. First pitch from Johnson. Dubbed foul, and it's 0-1. Rebhand, of course, doesn't get as many RBI opportunities being in the leadoff spot, but she still has 20 on the season. Primarily her job has been to set the table. Now trying to capitalize on the bottom part of the order's rally. Johnson looking for another escape act here early on in this one. The freshman showing some fortitude here early on. A 1. That's an excellent stop from Ryan. And a really important one given the situation. If that one gets past her, it doesn't score a run, but it would move both runners into scoring position, and with 2 outs, a hit from Rebhand would have scored 2 and given the Hoyas the lead. Put a star next to that if Rebhand finds herself aboard. The 1-1 is tapped foul again, though, and it's 1-2. Hoyas will have 5 straight non-conference games coming up after this one before closing out the regular season against Providence and UConn. Providence 12-3, leading the conference, the story of the Big East this year. Hoyas trying to enter the headlines as well. The 1-2 to Rebhand. In the air, left field, and it will drop in front of Law. Coming home and scoring is Sarlo. To third base goes Turner. It's an RBI double for Brooke Rebhand, and it's 1-1. Brooke Rebhand with 2 strikes and 2 outs. Laced it in front of Law, who couldn't make the catch, but she did very well as she went to ground to try to make the play to keep the ball in front of her. If that one gets past Law, then Rebhand might still be running. But it's a tie ball game here in the second, and it could be more as Gabby Park bats with 2 in scoring position and 2 outs. First pitch is off the plate, and it's 1-0. But again, remember that stop from Keely Ryan on that Rebhand at-bat, because if that one gets away from her, Claire Turner has already given the Hoyas the 2-1 lead. Instead, she's still just at third with the 2 away. The 1-0 is into right field, and Conger is right there to make the play and end the inning. But the damage done, an RBI double from Brooke Rebhand makes this a brand new ball game, 1-1 after 2. As we head to the third inning, the sun's starting to poke out here in D.C. What a concept. 75 and sunny yesterday. It was about 48 and overcast at first pitch today, which is just kind of how it goes in this part of the country. As the first pitch to Rachel Hunt is off the plate, and it's 1-0. Hunt hasn't gotten too many opportunities to swing the bat. Looking for her first hit of this 2026 season. She is 0 for 13, but plays an excellent second base. And with defense really at a premium today, getting an opportunity in that number 9 spot. Freshman from South Bend, Indiana, trying for her first base knock of her collegiate career. That one is on the outside edge, and it's 1-2. The third straight start for Hunt. who is 0 for 3 with a run scored so far this weekend. Also stole a base yesterday as she hits one in the air to left field. Moving over, though, is Park, and she's got it for the first out of the inning. That is now 5 straight batters retired and 6 straight outs from Larson when you factor in the double play at end of the first. And that will flip the lineup card around to one of the top thirds of any order you'd find around the conference or beyond. As Lehner will bat for the second time, grounded out to shortstop to start things up. Entire infield pinches in, expecting a bunt. They get a bunt, and it's foul, and it's 0-1. Among the many single-season single-season records, I should say, that Lehner has set in that 2025 season was a stolen base record, 39 swiped bags a season ago. That one's outside, and it's 1-1. This campaign, she's got 21 more. There were 103 stolen bases in what has been among the more prolific careers in Butler softball history. He catches the outside corner, and it's 1-2. When you look at the career records for stolen bases, Lehner only 4 off of Jenna Foreman for the all-time Bulldog record, but she won't have a chance here as it's looped towards second base, and Rebhan is there. Catherine Larson, as she so often does, has really settled into this outing. After the double to Conger, the RBI single for Alexander, and another single from Robards to cause all the traffic in the 1 run in the first inning. He has gotten more and more comfortable as the game has gone along. Here is the aforementioned Conger. First pitch is outside, and it's 1-0. Larson has a chance to do what Georgetown will have circled as being of high importance to do in this game, which is face both Conger and Alexander with nobody on base. Could be Conger to end this inning and Alexander to start the next. They're able to go and get the right fielder here. Butler taking the lead in the first inning, scoring first for the first time all series. One's in there for a strike, and it's 2-1. Conger might have offered at it anyways. On that Friday afternoon, Butler with 4 hits, they only left 3 runners on, didn't have that many chances. Larson was simply that effective. And then Georgetown scoring first in the bottom half of the third yesterday before the 9-run explosion for Butler in the very next half inning, the top half of the fourth, to engage the run rule after 5. Georgetown having to come from behind for the first time this weekend and doing so at least so far. And Brooke Rebhan will close out another 1-2-3 inning as 7 straight batters sat down from Catherine Larson, and the offense for the Hoyas goes back to work when we come back to DC. On our way to the bottom of the third inning, and weather update, it's almost a little bit too warm for comfort now after we started the day needing sweatshirts. The sun is now truly out and shining here in the nation's capital, and the heart of the order is coming to the plate for the second time for Georgetown. 3-4-5, looking to give the Hoyas their first lead of the afternoon. First pitch to Naya Campos misses outside, and it's 1-0. Campos was intentionally walked back in the first inning. What ended up being a good decision in the end, because after the Francis unintentional walk, the double play got Butler out of the inning without any damage done. A double play that looms very large now. Hoyas have now left 4 runners in scoring position so far this afternoon, but the RBI double from Brooke Rebhand in the second has evened things up as Campos sprays one down the left field line. It's going to hook out a play. And the count moves to 2 balls and a strike on Campos, who, when it's all said and done, is going to have in the record books one of the best career sets of numbers, not only in recent Hoya history, but in Hoya history as a whole. That one's downstairs, and it's 3-1. By the way, the walk tallies are only going to continue to grow. This would be number 80 if she's to see a fourth ball here. There's already been 28 walks so far this season to improve her on-base percentage to .522, and she does see walk number 29 of the season. And the Hoyas have a leadoff base runner. A career on-base percentage over 400, 31 career home runs, 93 career RBIs. We kind of wait to see if it is going to be possible for Campos to hit that 100 RBI number. She would be just the 5th Hoya to ever do so. She sits 5th right now, all-time in career RBIs. Samantha Peters with the record of 122. That's going to be likely too far for Campos to hit this year. Taylor Francis with a 1-0 count here as both of the corner infielders again pinched in, expecting her to square around. Not offering bunt that time either, though, and it's 2-0. The walks are starting to stack up a bit for Johnson, including the intentional walk. That's 4 now for her. Did not come back to haunt her in the first inning. Hoya is trying to punish her for it here in the third. The 2-0, Francis slaps it through the left side for a base hit. She was sitting fastball middle on a 2-0. After the walk to Campos, you knew Johnson could ill afford to put herself on the precipice of back-to-back walks, so Francis knew she was going to get something to hit and turned on it through the left side, and especially with Price pinched in expecting the bunt. It got through that 5.5 hole, and now the Hoyas in business here in the third with 2 on and nobody out for Emily Strittmatter. It was Strittmatter's double play that got rid of the Hoyas' chance in the first. Chance to atone for it almost immediately. She squares the bunt and pulls back for ball 1, a late square round for Strittmatter. And again, now that she has already shown Butler that she is intent on bunting. See if she does so again now that Price, more so than Alexander at first, but Alexander still pinched in. Price really pinched in at third. Strittmatter swinging away and lifting one out towards left field. It will be playable for Law. Tagging from second base is Campos. She will get to third with a slide. Aggressive base running from Naya Campos, and it pays off as the Hoyas get the lead runner to third with less than 2 outs. It was a strong throw from Law, and it was on target, but Campos reading the play well and an aggressive tag-up will give Danny Koo an RBI opportunity. Koo struck out back in the second inning, but has in fact been the only strikeout for either team so far. Larson far more of a strikeout pitcher than Johnson is. But a lot of balls have been put in play so far today. First offering to Koo, drops down a bunt, it's foul. The Hoyas trying to play some small ball here to take the lead. Campos decent speed over at third. Francis with excellent speed over at first. We'll see if Francis is on the move to try to entice a throw from Ryan with less than 2 outs. Especially with Hunt shifted way over the second baseman to wheel over with Alexander pinching in. It's upstairs and it's 1-1. Decisions to make for the Georgetown head coach Carla Ross in year number 2. Amelia Lecker, assistant Ross, has done a tremendous job turning this Georgetown program around as this one is up the middle and past Hunt for a base hit. An RBI single for Danny Koo. And the Hoyas have the first lead of the afternoon. It's 2-1. Danny Koo sending one back up the middle, recognizing that Hunt was going to be shifted over with the wheel play on for the Bulldogs, sending one slightly to the right side. And what is just the second RBI of the season for Danny Koo. Will set things up now for Devin Johnson, who's got 13 of them on the campaign. And you'd imagine with the one out now that Johnson is going to be swinging away too, and the question is whether or not she's going to be doing so against Alex Johnson. As there's a visit to the circle here. The Bulldogs trying to settle things down here in the bottom half of the third. Scott Hall, the head coach for the Bulldogs, number 16, year number 16, leading the way for Butler and Scott Hall. About the 2025 iteration of the Bulldogs. To a record of 26-22 and 14-10 in conference play. He will make a move. In the circle, Alex Johnson's day is done as Butler tries to get back to the Big East tournament just as they did last year. Having some work to do here this afternoon, and Alex Johnson taken out of the game here with 2 on and 1 out. With Devin Johnson coming to the plate next. Who already singled back earlier on in the second inning. We try to identify who is in the circle. We can tell you that it is Koo at first base and Francis at second. It's Maren Berger who is in the circle for Butler. And time is called after Berger waited perhaps a beat too long. The redshirt sophomore out of Arizona transferred into Butler from Utah State, where she really battled injuries all season long. One's downstairs, and it's 1-0 to Johnson. Berger pitched yesterday, 2 2/3 innings, gave up 1 run on 2 hits in the 9-1 victory. Walked 2 and struck out 1. The 1-0 is just off the inside edge, 2 balls and no strikes. The walks have kind of oscillated in terms of concern for Berger all year long. Started out the season with some command issues as she worked her way back from the injury. The 2-0 tapped to the third base side foul. She had 12 walks in her first 9 innings of the campaign against University of Missouri, Kansas City, Northern Iowa, and Detroit Mercy. Then she was able to find her command a little bit more, but now 5 walks in the last 9 2/3. The 2-1 is upstairs to Johnson, and it's 3 balls and a strike. As much as she has struggled with the walks, especially as of late, she's been able to keep a lid on the extra base hits, has only allowed 2 in the last 3 outings, and has tallied over 11 innings. Count is now full on Johnson. Be surprised, perhaps, in this situation to see Taylor Francis be on the move from second base. He'd love to give Nina Sarlo at least a chance in the on-deck circle. The payoff pitch to Johnson is looped into shallow left field. That's going to drop for a base hit. Francis had to hold to make sure the ball would fall. And the bases are full again for the Hoyas here in the third. And Nina Sarlo will have an opportunity to break this game open for Georgetown. Sarlo had a RBI, or rather a single and scored, I should say, back in the second inning. Scored the first run of the day for Georgetown, that at the time tied it up. Now a chance to do a lot more than that. First offering to her here is downstairs. There's going to have to be a lot of trust in Keely Ryan back behind the plate to keep everything in front of her. With Francis at third, who can run. 1-0 to Sarlo. In there for a strike. What is the most important at-bat of the game so far. Georgetown already knocking the starter Johnson out of the game. And Berger in to try to hold the Hoyas right where they are. Slowly tapped out towards Robards, slips the second base for one. That's all that Butler will get. And a fielder's choice will drive in another Georgetown run. Butler's already turned one double play up the middle to get out of a bases loaded situation, but that one just wasn't hit hard enough. And Sarlo digging down the line was always going to reach first. Francis scores. Johnson cut down at second, Koo to third. And it's 3-1 Georgetown. Turner looking for some more here. First offering to Claire Turner is downstairs, and it's 1-0. Sarlo wouldn't be a threat to run over at first base. The wind now really starting to pick up here in the nation's capital. It's blowing out towards right field. Off speed from Berger, catching Turner off guard at the knees, and it's 1-1. Sarlo was 8 for 10 in the stolen base department this year, but to either give Turner a chance to extend the inning, or if nothing else, start out the fourth with a leadoff hitter, Rebhand up. This one's tapped out towards Price, who bobbles it. Coming home is Koo and scoring. Kayla Price couldn't field it cleanly on the second hop. And the Hoyas scratch across one more. It's 4-1. Turner, who can run really well, maybe putting a little bit of extra pressure on Price to make a play a little bit quicker than she would have wanted to. And Price, who was pinched really far in, expecting perhaps a two-out bunt for a hit for Turner, tried to field it on a short hop, and it just ate her up. So here is Rebhand, now the seventh, making the eighth batter of the inning, with runners at first and second and 2 outs. That massive 9-run fourth inning for Butler featured 4 runs scored with 2 away. And now Georgetown tacking on here in the bottom half of the third with 2 gone as well. Rebhand hits one out towards shortstop. Robards on one hop will throw out Rebhand to end the inning. But 3 runs here in the third inning for Georgetown give them a commanding 4-1 lead. Catherine Larson will pitch with the lead for the first time when we come back. On our way to the fourth inning, and Georgetown finding its stride as this game has rolled along. After Butler scored 1 run in the top half of the first inning, Georgetown responded with 1 of their own in the second and 3 more in the third. On the other side of things, Catherine Larson has found a groove. 7 batters retired in a row, 8 outs in a row, if you include the double play to end the first inning. And now she'll face the heart of the Bulldog order for the second time, McKenna Alexander, to lead things off. Ball and a strike now to Alexander, who had her 50th RBI of the season to open up the game, driving in Haley Conger. and making it 1-0. Butler, what feels like a long time ago now with the flow of this game. This one's lifted out towards left field, fairly deep, but Park will have room. And there's one gone. So we're talking about Larson really wanting to face both Conger and Alexander with nobody on base. And she was able to do so this time through and retire both of them. Now here is Robards, 4th season with Butler. Had a single back in the first inning to keep the line moving. This one is strike on the outside edge. Trying to extend that 5-game hitting streak we alluded to earlier as well, in what is game number 176 in Butler colors for Robards. Has just been as consistent as they come over the last couple of years. Really from the word go when she got to the program. This one's looped over towards right center field, and it will drop in front of Danny Koo. And the first hit since Robards' knock back in the first inning will put Robards on board again here in the 4th. So a 1-out base runner as Butler looks for a little bit of a foothold here. Kayla Price, who grounded into an inning-ending double play back in the first, will get to bat for the second time here. Price hit the ball very hard, and it was, in fact, her hitting the ball so hard that caused the double play. She hit it right at Nina Starlow, and with force outs at first, second, and third base, the third baseman, Starlow, stepped on her own bag and then threw across the diamond in plenty of time. So a hard luck double play for a freshman who really hit the ground running. 5 straight games with a hit to open up her freshman campaign. And her batting average has not fallen below 300 ever since Valentine's Day, when she had a good day against Tennessee State. And ever since then, it has stayed above that 300 marker. 1-1 offering to Price. Just off the outside edge, you'd expect to see her named to the Big East All-Freshman team, but she has struggled with the strikeouts in the last couple of games. 6 of them in the last 4 contests coming into play today. But this one in play, but foul, and it's 2-2. So a chance for Larson to get her first strikeout of the day, which is not something we often say about Catherine Larson at this stage of the contest. Remember, 8 strikeouts against Butler only 2 days ago. For the former 4-time state champion out of Taunton, Massachusetts. This one's over towards Starlow again, another foul ball. Everyone's still running, but nobody has realized yet that the umpires have called it foul. Larson had just 1 strikeout against James Madison in 4 innings. She didn't strike out any Creighton Blue Jay in the 4 innings of the 3rd time through. But she had 11 strikeouts against Iona, 5 against Villanova, 5 against DePaul, 5 against Seton Hall. And she's got her first of the day here against Price. Dropping one into the inside corner, and Scott Hall is none too happy about it. The Butler head coach having some words with our home plate umpire today. And a warning officially has been issued to an unhappy Scott Hall down the third base side. So we'll have to tread carefully over the next couple of innings. Hall might have had a case to be made, and now the home plate umpire chatting with the second base umpire. Oh, it's all kind of kicking off here on a sunny Sunday afternoon all of a sudden. So here's Alana Boydston after all that to try to keep the inning alive. First pitch to Boydston, right back up the middle. Larson stabs at it and throws it over to first base to end the inning. Nice play from Catherine Larson on a hard hit ball back up the middle. And we are halfway through this one. Butler trailing Georgetown 4-1 in a pivotal rubber match on a Sunday afternoon. Bottom four here at the GW softball field. Georgetown and Butler doing battle for what could perhaps, when it's all said and done, be a final spot in the Big East tournament. Georgetown trying to get back to within a game of the Bulldogs, heading into the final 6 of the regular season in conference play, as Gabby Park will take a ball, and it's 1-0. I mentioned it earlier, 5 straight games in non-conference for Georgetown coming up after this one concludes. With the 9 teams in the Big East, somebody is going to be the odd team out of conference play every weekend. And it will be Georgetown's turn this upcoming weekend. They'll be back here on this field for technically a true road game against GW on Wednesday, and then they'll be in Piscataway, New Jersey on the campus of Rutgers all weekend. Next weekend, Lehigh, Rutgers, Hofstra, and then Rutgers again. And then right back to work, Providence for 3 in the midweek, and right back to work against UConn Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the final weekend of the season. That one runs inside, and it's a walk to Park to lead things off. So for the 3rd time in this game, the Hoyas put the leadoff batter aboard. And Nia Campos will bat with 1 on and nobody out here. For Butler, they'll have their final non-conference game of the season coming up Wednesday back in Indianapolis against Dayton. And then 3 on the road at a DePaul team that is on the outside looking into the postseason as well, but still mathematically available to really make a run for it. And then they'll end crucially with 3 against the, as it stands, Big East leaders, Providence. There's a meeting at the circle here, and Marenberger's day might very well be done. Looks as though Katie Petrin is getting loose for the Bulldogs. So we'll allow the new Bulldog reliever to warm up and tell you all about her when we come back. Hoya's threatening for more here in the bottom half of the 4th. Well, the new pitcher for Butler is Katie Petrin, the junior from Illinois. ERA currently sitting at 4.89. She did throw 6 innings on Friday. Gave up 3 earned runs, 1 more unearned run on 9 hits. She walked 2 and she struck out 3. And now one of the top-of-the-line pitchers for Butler over the course of their staff this year is brought in relief here in the bottom half of the 4th to try to keep this game within striking distance for Butler. A 4-1 Georgetown lead, and they have threatened in every inning. That one's outside, and it's 1-0. The only frame in which Georgetown didn't score was the first, in which they have the bases loaded and only 1 out. And then the double play from Strittmatter. By the time Alex Johnson out of the jam. After the walk to Gabby Park, a 2-0 to Campos, and that clipped her. Won't add to the walk tally. Campos is continuing to pile up, but it's a free pass all the same. And there's now 2 on and nobody out for Taylor Francis. Francis has had a good day already today. A walk back in the 1st inning, single and a run scored in the 3rd. And now we'll see if she will drop down a bunt to move 2 into scoring position with only 1 out, or if she's given the license to swing away. More decisions for Carla Ross to make. Francis is squaring around. She drops down a really good bunt down the first base line, collides with Alexander. A little bit of contact. Well warranted given where the ball was. And so job well done by Taylor Francis to move the runners to second and third with less than 2 outs for Emily Strittmatter. Strittmatter has not really gotten in on the party. The double play, then a fly out to left field. Which takes one upstairs, and it's 1-0. Strittmatter has been a vital part of this Georgetown offense for a while now. As solid as you can find defensively as well. Relying on the junior to get the job done here. Lifts it in the air, center field, not very deep. Leader coming in to make the catch. Stopping at third is Park. She bluffed as if she was going to tag up, but that ball didn't get anywhere near deep enough to test the strong arm of Leader, and an unproductive out for Strittmatter will leave it all up to Danny Koo. So Koo, who has had a good day today, with a chance for more RBIs. She had one back in the third inning. Struck out back in the second inning, what remains the only Georgetown batter to strike out so far today. First pitch is upstairs, and it's 1-0. First base open, but you certainly not want to load up the bases again with Devin Johnson, who's already got 2 hits. Waiting in the wings next. Cut and a miss, and it's 1-1. It feels like a perhaps turning point in this game. The Petrin to get out of it, or Georgetown to break it open. Popping up a bunt is Koo, and making the catch is Ryan. Koo tried to catch the Bulldogs napping with a bunt, but she popped it up in the air, and Ryan was there to make the play, and the Hoyas strand 2 more in scoring position. We're through 4, and it's 4-1 Georgetown. Seven, 8, 9 due up here in the 5th inning. Catherine Larson continuing to roll along. 3 consecutive scoreless innings. She has retired now 10 of the last 11, with only the Robard single, the lone blemish since the 1st inning. And Keely Ryan batting here to try to kickstart something for the Bulldogs in the 5th. Ryan flew out to the left fielder Park, her first time up. Now a slow grounder towards Francis, who makes the play, and there's one gone. Just about everything on the ground for Larson, which is how she'll like it. 3 of the last 4 outs from Larson have been on the ground. Now it'll be Law who will bat next for Butler, trying to find some sort of foothold on the offensive end. Paxton Law, the sophomore from Carmel, Indiana. Taking a first pitch outside, and it's 1-0. Law grounded out to Francis again, who's been very busy today in her first time up. That 2-for-2 day for Law broke an 0-for-5 spell and got her first hit since April the 2nd in that big 9-1 victory for Butler yesterday. The Bulldogs trying to stay above 500 overall. They're 18-17 over the course of this winding 2026 season. The 2-0 is downstairs and it's 3-0. One thing Law has not been able to do a ton is work a lot of walks. She did so against Georgetown in that last game, but it was just a second walk for her since March the 8th. See if she gets the green light to swing the bat here. 3-0. She'll take one on the outside edge, and it's 3-1. Rachel Hunt's due up next here in the top half of the 5th inning. Larson is through 4 1/3. Just the 1 strikeout, no walks, 4 hits, and the 1 run conceded. The 3-1 dotting the outside corner, and the count has been worked full. Larson's been able to come back at a couple of counts to make them more competitive again. That one's foul tipped, and it will stay right where it is, the count being 3-2. Butler 1 for 2 with runners in scoring position today. They haven't had that many chances. Georgetown is 3 for 12 with runners in scoring position. They have had a ton of opportunities. This ball's tap foul again. Good battle from Law. Hoyas have left 8 runners on base already so far. This game could be far out of hand, but a trio of pitchers for Butler have kept it within striking distance. The 3-2 runs upstairs, and the first walk of the day that Catherine Larson has issued will put a runner on board here in the top half of the 5th inning for Hunt. Rachel Hunt flew out to left field in her first time up. And not sure she's going to get the chance to bat here, as Scott Hall has his lineup card out. It doesn't look like Law's going anywhere from first. So we'll see if the Bulldogs dip into their bench, and it seems like they will. It's going to be Erin Clark who will get the chance to bat in place of Hunt. Clark, an outfielder by trade, so we'll see if Hunt will re-enter defensively for the bottom half of this inning. But Clark trying to get something going with her bat. 242 hitter. Was 1 for 1 yesterday for her first hit of the month of April. Not as if she's been in a big slump. She just hasn't had that many opportunities. Was previously 0 for 6 in conference play before the opening series against Villanova. She's quickly behind here, 0-2. There aren't a ton of options on the bench for Butler. Paige Lilly has had a couple of opportunities. Kendall Graves has had the most of the at-bats of anyone on the bench, but she hasn't played since March the 29th. That one's outside, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. There aren't too many options for the Bulldogs to turn to. Olivia Roberts is one, as that one is fouled away. But Roberts hasn't had a hit since April the 8th. That's not to be confused, by the way, with Olivia Robards. There's Olivia Robards and Olivia Roberts both on this Butler side. And Robards, the starting shortstop for the Bulldogs. See if she gets the chance to hit here in this 5th inning. The 1-2. Swung on and missed. Second strikeout of the day for Larson if she gets the pinch hitter Clark. And it'll be up to Lehner to keep this 5th inning alive. Lehner certainly never going to be pinch hit for. The senior from Indianapolis in the top 10 in most offensive statistics in Butler history. Takes one on the outside edge for a strike. It's 0-1. Ground out in the 1st inning, line out in the 3rd. 240 career hits in a Butler jersey. She drops down a bunt trying to utilize the speed. That's a fair ball. The throw to first is in time. Good stretch from Strittmatter too, as the throw pulled her a little bit towards being off the bag, but she was able to reach out and make the play to end the inning, and a good throw from Johnson to get her in time. So Larson works around the 1-out walk, and the Hoya is looking for more when we come back, up 4-1 in the 5th. On our way to the bottom half of the fifth inning, bottom third of the order due up for the Hoyas. It will be Johnson, Sarlo, and Turner. Johnson with a 2-for-2 day so far. It's been a very productive afternoon so far for the catcher. At least it's Johnson who is due up. That does not appear to be Devin Johnson at the moment. That looks to be Allie Pierce, the St. Francis transfer redshirt freshman from California, who swings and fouls one back, and it's 1-1. That's an interesting decision to give Pierce a look when Johnson was really finding her groove. A 2-for-2 day with a pair of singles. We'll see if Johnson re-enters the game in the sixth inning. But Pierce with an opportunity, hitting .214 this year. Was 0 for 1 2 days ago when she got into the contest. 2 for her last 4 over her last 2 Big East series. That one is just off the outside edge, and it's 3-1. There has been a little bit of extra communication, shall we say, between the Butler dugout and our home plate umpire today. 2-1. Slice down the left field line and foul, and it's 2-2. Allie Pierce got a handful of starts to open up the series. Played in that doubleheader on Valentine's Day against Delaware. Got starts against UNC Wilmington and Iona, but hasn't started a game since the final day of February against Drexel. Found her roll off the bench, though. The 2-2 is fouled back, and we'll do it all over again. But imagine that Johnson will come back in to re-enter the game defensively, where she's been very solid. Holly Pardini and Hannah Mae Legaspi, the other catchers listed on the roster. Legaspi hasn't played since March the 20th. As this one slowly hits the first base side, going to be a tough play for Alexander, who makes it. That's a nice flip from Alexander and a good rotate over from Hunt. Score 3-4 to get the speedy Pierce. Holly Pardini, who was a fixture in the starting lineup for Georgetown last year, hasn't played at all this year. So it's really just been Johnson back behind the plate for the month of April. You can imagine she'll be there again in the top half of the sixth. Here's Sarlo. It's the first pitch outside. Single and run scored back in the second. RBI fielder's choice in the third. Part of that 3-run third frame that has given Georgetown the advantage. They try to get back to 500 in conference play and move to within a game of Butler and holding the tiebreaker with 6 conference games to go. It's upstairs to Sarlo. Yeah, Sarlo's had a very busy day on both sides of the ball. Lifts this one down the first baseline. Alexander gives a cursory look, but it's 2 balls and a strike. Sarlo, for her first 4 of the series, but has turned things around here in the final game of 3. 2-for-3 day against James Madison in the non-conference midweek, but looking for her first conference hit since April the 4th. She was coming into play today and has done that and then some. Her first conference RBI since April the 3rd. Or that huge Seton Hall sweep to really put Georgetown in the mix. On the inside edge, and the count will run full. Claire Turner due up on deck. Katie Petrin trying to work her way through this 5th inning and hold the Hoyas where they are at a 4-1 lead. Payoff pitch. Upstairs, that's another good at-bat from Nina Sarlo. Hoyas have had a base runner in every inning. And now Claire Turner, who has reached twice without a hit, will bat with 1 on and 1 out. Fielder's choice for Turner to allow her to get on base in the 2nd inning, and then she reached on the error from Price in the 3rd. That allowed another run to score. So again, Price pinched really in at 3rd, expecting a bunt from the number 9 hitter. Turner squared around very late. That's the kind of bunt show where you're looking for a hit for the speedy Turner. Instead, it's fouled back, and it's 0-1. With Rebhand waiting on deck, who already has an RBI extra base hit today, you can forgive Turner for wanting to push the runner into scoring position. This time Turner swinging away, slowly hit out towards Hunt, tags the runner, throw to first is not in time. They get just the lead runner as Turner reaches on a fielder's choice for the second time today. Center fielder very, very speedy. Always going to be tough to double up in any capacity. It's a smart play from Hunt to go and get the lead runner via the tag instead of having to make the extra flip. But it does give Rebhand an opportunity to bat with a runner on. Hoyas, as we mentioned, have already stranded 8 so far through the first 4 frames. First pitch swinging is Rebhand, pops it up, foul ground, first base side. Alexander is there to make the play, and the side is retired. 1-out walk for Nina Sarlo, but the Hoyas can't do anything with it as we roll along to the 6th. Georgetown's up 4-1. To the 6th inning we go, and Devin Johnson does re-enter the game to catch after Allie Pierce pinch hit for her. Catherine Larson back out there to face the heart of the Butler order. 2, 3, and 4 due up. The first pitch to Haley Conger is just off the plate. It's 1-0. Of course, the Bulldogs will have the 7th inning, but you get the sense that if something's going to happen for Butler, it's got to happen sooner rather than later. With 2, 3, 4 in the order for the 3rd time through. Against this Butler order that hasn't really shown that much depth today, almost all the offense has come from the batters 2, 3, and 4. And it's outside to Conger, and it's 2-1. The only base runner to reach from 5 through 9 in the order was the walk to Paxton Law. Other than that, it has been Conger, Alexander, and Robards to try to challenge Catherine Larson. And those are the 3 due up here. The 2-1 is on the outside edge for a strike, and it's 2-2. This would be quite the tone setter for Larson to go and get Conger, who has scored the only run of the day for Butler, all the way back in the 1st inning. The 2-2 is off the plate, and the count is full. Important pitch here for Larson and for Conger to set the tone here in the 6th. And the payoff is hit to the left side and through for a base knock. First hit since the 4th inning and just the 2nd since the 1st for Conger, who stretches it into a double. Just like that, the Bulldogs set up here in the 6th. Park couldn't get it in quickly enough. And Conger utilizing the speed to get herself into scoring position. And now here's McKenna Alexander, who after Conger doubled in the 1st inning, drove her home with an RBI single. Georgetown would be happy enough if Butler manufactured 1 from this. And get him over, get him in situation with a 3-run lead to protect. First pitch to Alexander, drops off the table for a strike, and it's 0-1. After the Alexander RBI in the first inning, flew out to left back in the fourth. That one's outside. Ball and a strike to the junior. It's really been a remarkable campaign for her. Had 46 RBIs the first 2 years combined. She's passed that here this year. The timeout is called. Potential turning point in this game in the sixth. The 1-1 is downstairs. 2 balls and a strike to Alexander. Sarlo's able to knock it down. She'll look back the runner and throw to first base. On a huge diving effort from Nina Sarlo at third. And there's one gone here as Alexander is retired. Critically important first out for Catherine Larson and the Hoyas here in the sixth inning. Now here is Robots. First pitch is inside and it's 1-0. After losing Ella White, who was one of the top players in Butler history, scored more runs than any other in Bulldog history, drove in more runs than any other in Bulldog history. The question was going to be, was there enough depth in this Butler order to keep them competitive? They've certainly been competitive in the conference, sitting fourth right now at 10-7, but is there enough towards the bottom of the order to get it done? Robards will take one on the inside edge. 2 for 2 day. Her and Conger, the only 2 players for Butler with multiple hits on the afternoon. A 2-1 offering now from Larson. Just missed the inside edge. And it's 3 balls and a strike, and Robards can go and attack here. A 3-1 offering from Larson. Turned around on it, foul, and the count is full. Robards might have swung at ball 4 on that occasion. It'd be fair to say that there have been some upset coaches on either side with the home plate umpire zone, which oftentimes means it evens out in the end. 1 RBI in the last 4 games, 2 in the last 7 for Robards. The 3-2 offering is downstairs, skips away from Johnson, and moving to third is Conger, as Robards will take her base, and the tying run is going to come to the plate here in the 6th inning for Butler. The first time since the first inning that Butler has advanced a runner to third, and Carla Ross is going to go have a chat, if nothing else, to sort out what to do here in the infield, and remind these Hoyas that they would be more than happy to trade a run for an out in this spot. With a 3-run lead to protect, you still have to be aggressive if you're Larson in the circle, but you have to be smart in the field if you're Georgetown and not try to press the issue too much. If you can go and get a sure one, that's better than trying to force something for 2 or force something at a lead base, or force something to try to cut down the run. The leadoff double for Conger, the Alexander ground out, and then the Robards walk. And how important now is that diving stop from Sarlo on Alexander to get that first out of the inning. Kayla Price looking for her first hit of the series. What a time this would be to get it. Freshman in a big spot. First one's downstairs, and it's 1-0. You'd imagine that for better or worse, this is going to be Larson's inning. Georgetown has relied so heavily on their star freshman ace all through this year, and they're going to do so again here in the 6th. Squaring to bunt is Price. The throw to first base is in time. A run's going to score, but it's the second out of the inning. Boy, that's a fascinating decision from Butler, with Price squaring around early enough for the sacrifice. That does move the runner to second base in Robards, and the tying run still at the plate here in Boydston. The Bulldogs scratch across one, but it's the second out of the frame. And Boydston takes one downstairs for ball 1. Was mentioning Georgetown would have to be happy to trade it out for a run. That's exactly what they did. And perhaps if you're Butler, you're thinking, hey, if we can force the Hoyas into a decision where they can try to force something home, they could have a chance to have them throw something away. That wasn't the case for Larson. The freshman poised and threw to first base in plenty of time. And now it's up to the DP Boydston to keep the inning going. The 1-1. Bounce foul, and now Larson is a strike away from getting out of the inning, with only the 1 run conceded and a 2-run lead still intact. The added bonus, if you can go and get Boydston here, is that Larson would then face the bottom third of the order in the 7th inning, in which the Hoyas would have at least 2-run lead. That one might have hit her, though. It did, right on the foot. And the tying run is aboard now for Butler here in the top half of the 6th inning. And it will be Keely Ryan who will bat for the Bulldogs. The senior is 0 for 2 today. Ryan had 2 RBIs yesterday, as we mentioned. First pitch to her is off the plate outside for ball 1. Larson did not have a free pass in the first 4 innings. She's had 2 walks and a hit by pitch in the last 2. The 1-0 is bounced to the third base side and foul. Only 3 times in conference play this year has Ryan had RBIs in back-to-back games. There's a chance to do so here. 1 and 2, never this season in conference play, as Ryan followed up a multi-RBI day with at least 1 more run driven in the very next game. She's got Robards out at second base and Boydston over at first. But 2 strikes on her and 2 outs here in the 6th. And Larson will call time. A freshman in the circle, a senior at the plate. And the 1-2 offering. Missed outside. That's not a bad 1-2 spot from Larson. Ryan, a catcher, with a really good appreciation for the strike zone, didn't offer at it. Now the 2-2. Out towards left field. That is going to drop foul. And we'll do it all over again. Of course, everybody off on contact with the 2 outs. And that could very well have tied up this game if it stayed fair. Instead, it stays 2-2. With Law on deck. Johnson going over to have a chat with Catherine Larson. Now, what to do here? If anything got past Johnson and both runners were to advance, that would move the tying run into scoring position with the 2 outs. But Larson still getting out of this jam with just 1 more pitch. The 2-2, again foul. 1 run in the first inning and 1 more here in the 6th. In between, the Bulldogs had a grand total of 2 base runners in innings 2, 3, 4, and 5 combined. Already 1 across here, though, in the form of Conger. And again, Larson will call time. and go have a chat with Emily Strittmatter. They're going to change out wristbands. Well, Larson trying to make herself as comfortable as possible in the circle. One of the biggest pitches of the game so far. The 2-2. To the left side and through for a base hit. Park comes up throwing. Here comes Robar. She's in safely. And advancing up to second is Keely Ryan on an RBI hit to make it a 4-3 game here in the sixth. What a battle from Keely Ryan, who fouled off pitch after pitch and made Larson work time after time again. 2 runs here in the top half of the sixth inning for Butler. And they now have the go-ahead run in scoring position and the tying run at third. Will that be it for Catherine Larson? It does look like it. As the Georgetown freshman ace is going to come out of the game, and the Hoyas will make a move to the bullpen. Emily Collins, a sophomore from Ashburn, Virginia, is going to be called in to try to close out this sixth inning and perhaps beyond. We'll talk about Collins and set things up for an at-bat with Paxton Law when we come back. Emily Collins has not pitched for Georgetown since March 29th against Villanova. She threw 59 innings and was a key part of this offense, or this pitching staff, I should say, for Georgetown. But an injury slowed her down. As you can see, still wearing a brace on her left leg. But what a time to make your re-entry for Georgetown in a one-run game, in a game that the Hoyas simply cannot afford to let slip away in their push for the postseason. With a tying run at third base and the go-ahead run at second base and 2 outs. And Paxton Law at the plate, 0 for 1 with a walk. The 1-0 offering to her is downstairs, and it's 2-0. Devin Johnson's going to have to be really solid back behind the plate to keep everything in front of her. The 2-0 offering from Collins. Off of the fists of Law, and it's 2-1. Paxton Law does not have an RBI since all the way back on March the 15th. The 2-1 is fouled away, and yet again, Georgetown is a strike away from getting out of this troublesome inning with the lead still intact, only barely. 5 RBIs on the season for Law. 3 of them coming out of conference. The 2-2 to the third base side, foul again. Rachel Hunt on deck. If the inning should get that far, after re-entering from Clark, and she had that pinch hit appearance. The 2-2. Bounced foul again. These Bulldog batters battling Say that 3 times fast. The runner at third, again, a reminder, is Boydston. The runner at second base is Ryan. And Emily Collins, again, a strike away. The 2-2. Fouled back. Collins, the only pitcher for Georgetown to return from a season ago with innings under her belt. And it is barely innings. Only 1 1/3 from Collins last year. Now into her sophomore campaign, part of this new look pitching staff. Another 2-2 off speed, just missed. And I mean just missed. Francis and a couple of other Hoyas had a couple of steps towards the first base dugout. And the count is full. Payoff pitch to Law is downstairs and the bases are loaded. Emily Collins thought that she was out of the inning on that 2-2. And instead we play on. Here is Hunt. Flew out to left field back in the third. Takes the first pitch outside. It's 1-0, and there's absolutely nowhere to put her. The tying run at third base, and the base is full of Bulldogs with 2 outs in the 6th. The 1-0 offering. Just below the knees for ball 2. Inning started with a leadoff double from Conger. Walk to Robards, hit by pitch, RBI single and a walk. The 2-0. Important strike for Emily Collins. She absolutely needed one in the zone there to get back in the at-bat. Go-ahead run is in scoring position, but Georgetown still can't escape with the lead intact. The 2-1 is fouled away, and again, not for the first time in this inning. Georgetown a strike away from getting back to the bats. Where does Collins go here on another 2-2? Fouled away in on the hands of Hunt. The count stays right where it is at 2-2. Hunt's worked inside, she's worked outside, she's changed the eye level up and down. Another 2-2 is on its way. And it's right back to the screen again. Long at-bats here in the 6th inning. This Butler side, the 3rd time through, giving the Georgetown pitching staff all that they can handle. Another 2-2. Golfed out towards right field. Koo on the move. It's going to get into the Hoya bullpen. And what will be, I believe, the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Their 7-pitch at-bat last plate appearance for Law. Here's another 2-2. Back up the middle, slowly hit. Rebhand on the move, she bobbles it. And the Bulldogs have tied it here in the 6th. A swinging bunt to the second baseman, Brooke Rebhand, who knew she had to do everything in a hurry to get Rachel Hunt. And she couldn't field it cleanly. Probably a hard lucky 4 for Brooke Rebhand. They're going to give Hunt a single in the end, actually. She won't mind picking up an RBI. But what matters most is this game is tied at 4, and coming to the plate, one of the conference's most dangerous hitters over the last 3 years, Kate Lehner. The 9th batter of the inning. The Bulldogs have come storming back. And the Hoyas, who needed this one to keep themselves firmly in the postseason picture, have coughed up a 3-run lead here in the 6th frame. but we're far from done. First pitch to Lehner is off the plate outside. It's 1-0. Not only has Butler battled back with their backs to the wall in a macro sense over the course of this game, but pitch by pitch and batter by batter too. The 1-0 is on the outside edge for a strike, and it's 1-1. Lots of two-strike foul balls, lots of behind in the count battling. Collins thought that she was out of the inning with that 2-2 changeup that was called a ball. Law reached and Hunt did the rest. 1-1. Just off the outside edge, and it's 2-1. There wasn't too much dissimilar from that pitch to the last from Collins. Johnson calling time. And Collins recognized it and called time as well. That's well done by Collins to recognize their catcher needed a moment. The 2-1 slap to the left side, cutting it off as Sarlo throw to first base, not in time! Lehner beat it out, and the Bulldogs have the lead. The single season stolen base queen in Bulldog history. Beating out an infield hit to the left side. And that is how Butler takes a 5-4 advantage. And Haley Conger, who started this inning with a leadoff double, will bat again with the bases still full. And now Butler with a chance to extend their lead. As Carla Ross will have a chat with the entire infield. A 4-run sixth inning, with 5 straight Bulldogs reaching with 2 outs. And how does Emily Collins and the rest of the Hoyas do something they've struggled to do all weekend, which is get Haley Conger out? And you think ahead to the bottom half of the 6th inning, Hoyas will have a chance to respond with the heart of their order coming to the plate. 2, 3, and 4 will be due up for Georgetown. First offering to Conger. Downstairs, and it's 1-0. Boy, so many moments in this 6th inning that you can circle as pivotal. The Sarlo diving play to get Alexander out. The hit by pitch to Boydson with 2 strikes. The at-bat worked by Law to keep the inning going. And then the hustle from Lehner down the first base line to beat out the infield hit. 1-1 to Conger. 2 balls and a strike. The shadows rolling in here in D.C. It's a Catherine Larson start in this inning. Emily Collins has come on in this frame. And has yet to record an out so far, and it's 3-1, and there's nowhere to put Haley Conger. Collins came in for that at-bat against Law. She's allowed 3 straight to reach. And now the 3-1. In there for a strike, and the count is full. That'll start the merry-go-round. On the pitch, everybody will be in motion. It'll be especially pertinent for the runner at second, Hunt, and the runner at first, Lehner. A payoff pitch to Conger is below the knees for ball 4. And the Bulldogs have walked in another run. It's a 5-run 6th inning. And it's 6-4 Bulldogs. We were talking earlier on about Georgetown giving up crooked number innings. And that has been the case again today, as Alexander, extremely dangerous herself, will bat next. First pitch to Alexander, right down the chute for strike 1. It is now 26 of the last 31 runs that Georgetown has allowed that have been in crooked number innings. 0-1 is cut on and missed, and it's 0-2. The upshot of that being, once Georgetown concedes some traffic, they've gotten into the bad habit of conceding some more, letting some innings get away from them. The 0-2 to Alexander. Just off the plate, that's a good 0-2 spot against the very dangerous Alexander. Third in the conference in RBIs. After a 9-run fourth inning yesterday, a 5-run sixth inning for Butler has turned the tide here. The 1-2 falls off the table. That's a good take from the Bulldogs first baseman. So after that RBI back in the first, flew out to left. And earlier on this inning, hit the ball hard to third. Starlo made a diving stop and threw to first. 2-2 runs upstairs and in, and Alexander's done well to come back from 0-2 to work the count full. Emily Collins, in her first outing in 3 weeks, was parachuted into a difficult situation. Traffic on the base paths at second and third in a tight game. She has yet to be able to record it out against the 4 batters she has faced. She called for time. Home plate umpire didn't grant it. And the 3-2 is swung on and missed. And that will end the inning, but the damage is done. A 5-run sixth inning for Butler has given them the lead as we head to the bottom half of the sixth. Hoyas will try to respond with the heart of the order coming up for them when we come back. Bottom half of the sixth inning, and Hoyas with some work to do all of a sudden. A 5-run sixth inning has turned this game right on its head, and Gabby Park will bat first in the frame to try to regain some momentum for Georgetown, who still does have some runway with which to work. 0 for 2 with a walk today is Gabby Park. And the 1-0 is outside, and it's 2-0, and all of a sudden it's a completely different situation for Katie Petrin, who came into the game just trying to hold Georgetown where they were, and that 4-1 lead, and now is in line for a win and is trying to hold off this Hoya team. The 2-0. Off the plate, and it's 3-0. And Ryan going to go have a quick chat with Katie Petrin, knowing that on deck is Naya Campos, one of the conference's top home run threats. I imagine there's a big old stop sign for Gabby Park in this situation, given the context of everything that has happened over the last inning or so. Wouldn't matter anyway, as a 4-pitch walk to Gabby Park starts up the Hoya sixth inning. And now here is Naya Campos, tied for 4th in the conference in home runs and representing the tying run. Campos hasn't had a chance to do all that much so far today. It was intentionally walked back in the first inning, was unintentionally walked in the third and scored, and then was hit by a pitch in the fourth. That one's outside, and it's 1-0, and the message has simply been clear for Scott Hall, the Butler head coach, that somebody else besides Naya Campos is going to have to do the job to beat this Butler team. They're not going to let it come down to Campos if they can help it. The 1-0 is way upstairs, and it gets beyond Ryan. Park striding into second base, and is now in scoring position. The umpire rotated over to 30, lost a piece of his equipment, so that was the brief delay to go and get it. Robards had to go hand it to him. So now with first base open, you really wouldn't expect Campos to get anything to hit. The 2-0 is off the plate, rather on the corner, and it's 2-1. And so Campos, back in the count here against Petrin, can look for something to swing at. The 2-1 bounced foul, and it's 2-2 all of a sudden. And now if you're Campos, you would love to just be able to pull something to the right side and move Park to third with less than 2 outs for Francis. A 2-2 offering tonight at Campos. Outside, and the count is full. It's a fascinating approach now for Campos because you do still have to protect the plate, but you know that in the back of your mind. Petrin's going to be trying to nibble because a walk is not the worst thing in the world from a Butler perspective against somebody with the power of Campos. The 3-2 is nowhere close, and back-to-back walks have started things up for the Hoyas. We're talking all day about difficult decisions. And before Carla Ross can make one, I think Scott Hall is going to make one. And Katie Petrin's day is going to come to a close. Fourth pitcher of the day going to be used by the Bulldogs. We'll tell you all about her when we come back. Hoya is rallying here in the 6th. Well, with Georgetown threatening to respond here in the 6th inning, Butler will turn to a senior to try to close things out perhaps. It's Rylan Dyer with her 4.89 ERA. She already saw Georgetown yesterday. She threw 2 1/3 scoreless innings. And now we'll face Taylor Francis with 2 on and nobody out, after Petrin walked both Park and Campos to start the inning. Francis will try to drop down a bunt, hit her in foul territory. And so it is 0-1. Was about to say whether or not Carla Ross was going to ask Francis to bunt here would be interesting. With Strittmatter, who's hitless today, on deck, but you can really not afford to pass up the opportunity to move the tying run into scoring position and a get-back run to third with less than 2 outs. Francis now squaring early and swinging away and tapping one over towards Price, who only has a play at first base. It's made. That's as good as a bunt for Francis. A nice play from Price, too, to kind of renegotiate her footwork after crashing in on the shown bunt. So it is Emily Strittmatter who will have the opportunity. Grounded into that double play to end the first inning that now looms very large. And Scott Hall again is going to have his lineup card out. We'll see for what exactly. Hoyas have had their opportunities to blow this game open in the middle frames. They've left 9 runners on. Not exactly sure what the defensive change is. There's a change in left field. Olivia Roberts is now into the game in left to replace Law. That has to be about the throwing arm of Olivia Roberts, you'd expect, to perhaps go and make a play at the plate. So here's Strittmatter. First pitch to Strittmatter is downstairs. That's a good stop from Ryan, who's going to have to be on it here. But the runner at third. Strittmatter with that double play, and then 2 outs recorded in the air to the outfield. Another one would likely score a run with Park, who's got good speed at third. Was looking for a lot more than that on the 1-0 swing. And it's a ball and a strike. 3 RBIs the last 3 games for Strittmatter. Georgetown has struggled in this spot today. This ball's lifted into shallow left. It's out of the reach of the diving Robards. Park is going to score. Campos to third. On her way to second base is Strittmatter. And the aggressive base running from Emily Strittmatter has put the go-ahead run in scoring position. An RBI from the first baseman, who's had a hard luck day, has made it a 1-run game here in the bottom half of the 6th. Punch and counter punch here in the nation's capital. And here is Danny Koo. First pitch to Koo is upstairs, and it's 1-0. What a topsy-turvy 6th inning this has been, and it's far from done. Hoyas are now still just 4 of 14 with runners in scoring position today. They've left some chances on the table. Can ill afford to do so here. 1-1 to Koo, who's been busy. Strikeout, RBI, single, and bunt pop out. Would really not expect her to try to lay one down here. Although Price is pinched in just in case, remembering that last at-bat. The 1-1 lifted down the right field line, hit deep, and hit well, but hit foul. That would have been among the most unlikely of swings from Koo, who does not have a home run yet this season. The sophomore does not, in fact, have one since early in 2025. The 1-2. Shows bunt, pulls back, and will take downstairs. Nice stop from Ryan again. The aggressive base running from Strittmatter to get herself to second base after the throw from Roberts came into third. With still less than 2 outs, a productive out could tie the game. A 2-2 is hit back up the middle. It gets deflected off of Dyer's glove. Now coming home is Campos. She's caught up in a rundown, and everyone has to go back to their bases. What a heads-up play from Robards, the shortstop. It goes 6-5, and that gets rid of the runner from third. It deflected off of the glove of Ryland Dyer, and that sent Campos to the plate. Robards picked it up, and her first throw was home. And Campos had no chance. Now here's Devin Johnson, with still 2 runners aboard here in the 6th inning. First pitch is downstairs. Strittmatter with a big secondary lead. Trying to get to third if anything were to get past her, or past Ryan, I should say. Popped up in the air. First base side and playable for Alexander. She makes the catch and ends the inning. Hoyas get 1, but leave 2 and run themselves into an out here in the 6th. We head to the 7th frame. It's Butler 6 and the Hoyas 5. We head to the 7th inning, and there's a new old pitcher in the circle for Georgetown. Catherine Larson is back in the circle for the Hoyas after Emily Collins came on to try to navigate through that 6th inning. She ended up allowing 4 batters to reach and Butler to take the lead. So Larson is back out there to try to finish what she started and give the Hoyas an opportunity in the bottom half of the 7th. She'll do so against the middle third of this order, starting with Robards, who made that excellent defensive play to come home with the softball and get Campos at the plate and keep this Butler lead intact. In the bottom half of the inning, Georgetown will send 8, 9, and 1 to the plate. It'll be at least due up Sarlo, Turner, and Rebhan. Rebhan will definitely bat. Imagine Sarlo will too. And decisions will have to be made about whether or not Claire Turner, who is among the best defenders on this Georgetown team but has struggled with the bat this year, will get the chance to come up to the plate. But first things first, here in the top half of the inning, Larson trying to keep this Butler team where they are. Butler's 5 runs holding up in the 6th inning. Larson got tagged for 5 of those runs, with her being responsible for most of the base runners when Collins came into the game. This ball is laced out towards right field. That's a knock for Robards, who has found her way aboard all 4 times. She has come up to the plate, 3 hits and a walk. Well, it's been an excellent day for Olivia Robards. That will start up the 7th inning the way Butler will have wanted. It's the 2nd time in this game that the Bulldogs have put the leadoff batter aboard. The 6th inning and now the 7th. Going to bunt and taking a strike as Price. And it's 0-1. It is the first 3-hit day in conference play for Olivia Robards this year. Did so in back-to-back games against Lipscomb in the final non-conference games before getting into Big East play. A big game here as Price again waves right through the bunt and it's 0-2, and now you'd imagine she'll have to swing away. What has been a wild back-and-forth affair here in a pivotal game for Big East postseason play, as this one's lifted in the air, left field. Park will have room drifting into left center field, fighting the wind, and she can't make the play. Turner will have to get it in. And Price, who is hustling all the way regardless, will end up at second. The wind was swirling. Park took a circuitous route to the softball. And in the end, it deflected off of the side of her glove. And there's 2 on and nobody out for Butler here in the top half of the 7th. Boy, it's been a Murphy's Law kind of last 2 innings for the Georgetown Hoyas. And now the infield has no choice but to come on in with Boydston at the plate. Foul ball nearly hit Keely Ryan in the on-deck circle. And it's 0-1. Boydston 0 for 2 was hit by a pitch back in the 6th inning. That saw 11 batters come to the plate for Butler. And this is outside. 2 balls and a strike. The designated player looking for an RBI opportunity here. That one skips to home plate. And it's 3 balls and a strike. But it's the only Big East game of the day, and it has delivered. The 3-0. Catching the inside edge, 3 balls and 1 strike. Neither Larson nor Collins have gotten all that much help from the defense back behind them today, but have not done themselves too many favors either, as that one's hammered foul down the left field line. The count has been worked full. That just looked to be trouble as soon as Park realized she didn't take a direct route to the softball. But the wind swirling was trying to adjust mid-route and couldn't do so in time. Robards did well to get to third, too. She, of course, had to hold, thinking that the ball was going to be caught. And now the payoff pitch. Out towards right field, coming in, and it won't be caught by Koo as she lays out to try to make the catch, and it gets past her. Boydston's on her way to third base. She'll stop there with a 2 RBI triple. And the Bulldogs have scored 7 in the last 2 innings and are far from done. Danny Koo went full extension to try to make the catch. It got past her and went all the way to the wall, and Boydston turned on the jets to get to third with still nobody out, and now all 9 Hoyas are going to meet towards the circle and have a chat with Carla Ross. Hindsight, of course, 2020. If Danny Koo could do that all over again, she would perhaps slam on the brakes and try to just knock the ball down. But you can certainly see the idea for Koo, recognizing that they needed to limit Butler's output right now in a hurry with a runner at second and third and nobody out. It was already a Butler lead. But it has turned into an 8-5 lead and a chance for more. With a runner at third base and still nobody out. Robards and Price already in, and now here is Keely Ryan. With this young team that Carla Ross has put together, a tremendous step forward here in 2026, but some missed opportunities here in this one. They talked about it some throughout the season, but it really is worth mentioning the job that Carla Ross has done inheriting this program that has struggled over the last few years to get themselves into the conference mix. Currently sitting in 5th place in the Big East, and as it stands 2 games behind 4th place Butler for the final spot. But the Bulldogs roaring back here late, with themselves in the driver's seat. If Georgetown were to fall in this one, you think of what would need to happen for them to find their way into the postseason. They would be behind the Bulldogs by 3 games with 6 to go, and Butler would have a tiebreak. So you'd effectively need to make up 4 in the 6 games. Nobody else is really catchable. UConn would be 5 full games in front. As the ground ball to second base rather, they'll go to third, and everyone's going to be safe. Rebhan tried to be aggressive and go and get the lead runner. Looked back the runner, Boydston, who was almost daring Rebhan to make that throw back, and Rebhan played right into it. With a chance for the sure out over at first base, instead tried to go and get the lead runner, and everybody's still safe. With no outs still here in the top half of the 7th inning. And a pinch hitter, it seems, coming to the plate here for the Bulldogs. It'll actually be Law who's going to re-enter the game after Roberts came in defensively. Paxton Law 0 for 1 with a pair of walks. That's got to be demoralizing for Catherine Larson, who thinks that she would have had a chance for 2 outs already. A fly ball to left center that Park couldn't corral, and then the ground ball to Rebhan. Ball and a strike now here to Law. 1-1 scoring to bunt is Law, then pulled back, but not in time, so it's 1-2. And the theme of the game, I think it is fair to say from a Georgetown perspective at least, is missed opportunities. Had chances to get out of the sixth inning with the lead still intact with 2 strikes and 2 outs on a number of occasions, was unable to do so as the 1-2 swung on and missed. And Law is down on strikes. Just the second strikeout of Larson's afternoon. Georgetown was unable to get out of that 6th inning with a couple of chances. And then on the offensive side of things, they have left 11 runners on base and are 4 for 16 with runners in scoring position. Here's Hunt, takes one outside, and it's 1-0. The game's still far from done, but Georgetown has had their fair share of chances. Hoyas do not track runners left on base on a game-to-game basis when you look at their season stats, but if you comb back through contest by contest, I'd imagine you'd find that the 11 would be towards the top that the Hoyas have left on all season. 2-0 is swung on and missed, and it's 2-1. Laner awaiting on deck. Certainly don't want to give her the chance to bat with a runner at third and less than 2 outs. Someone who is as adept as anyone to put the ball in play. Sarlo will throw over to first base as well to hold the runner at third. As Ryan will move to second, but there's now 2 gone for Laner, who gave the Bulldogs the lead in the 6th inning by beating out an infield hit. A tapper to the third base side that Sarlo cut off but couldn't get to first in time against one of the speediest runners anywhere in the conference and beyond. Goes after the first pitch and comes up empty. It's 0-1. After winning game number 1 of this series 4-0 on Friday, Hoyas with 2 cracks at it to win a critical series. We're up 1-0 after 3 yesterday before the 9-run explosion for Butler. We're up 4-1 heading into the 6th inning in this one, and this too has turned on its head. 0-2 to Laner. Slow tapper foul. It's probably for the best that anything slow off the bat of Laner is either in the air or in foul ground. Because anything she puts in play not hit hard, she's going to be likely to beat out for what would be her 2nd hit of the day. Hoyas were able to limit her first 3 times coming up. Ground out, pop out, bunt, ground out as the catcher Johnson sprung out of her crouch and was able to get the runner. Where does Larson go here on an 0-2 with runners at second and third and 2 outs? Tried to elevate it. That's a good take from Laner with 2 strikes. Infield still playing in, not because of the runner at third, but knowing how quickly they'll have to make a play on any ground out. The 1-2 slowly hits. Sarlo not going to have a chance. And coming home is the runner, and in time! Alana Boydston took a huge secondary lead, and as soon as the throw from Sarlo went across the diamond, Boydston came home to score another. And it's 9-5 Butler. Again, Laner utilizing all that speed to put the game in motion. And now here is Haley Conger. What base running that was from Alana Boydston. First pitch is downstairs, it's 1-0. Boydston took that kind of 2 or 3 steps off of third, and then as soon as the ball left the hand of Sarlo, she was on the move. Stripmatter didn't realize it until a beat too late. This one's out towards left field and foul. And it's 1-1. 8 runs the last 2 innings for the Bulldogs, who have come storming back here. 11 hits on the day for Butler. after it seemed like Larson was rolling through 5. Think back to the end of the 5th inning for Larson. That was outside and it's 2-1. She was through 5 innings of 1-run softball, as she had allowed just 2 base runners the previous 4 innings. It was the double to lead off the 6th inning by this batter, Haley Conger, that set the tone in the 6th. And things continued on from there. A 3-1 misses inside, and a walk will load the bases for somebody who Georgetown has been trying to face with nobody on as much as possible, McKenna Alexander. Alexander had that RBI single all the way back in the 1st inning to put Butler in front early, but is 0 for her last 3 since, including a strikeout to end the 6th inning. First pitch to Alexander is downstairs, and it's 1-0. This marathon of a game that has gone through, it seems, all 4 seasons over the course of about 2 hours. It was cold and rainy and overcast to start. It is now warm and sunny. That one's outside, and it's 2-0. And the score line and the momentum have been just as topsy-turvy. 2-0. Tapped foul. Alexander was hunting a fastball. Larson took something off of it. Swung just over the top of it. Robards awaiting on deck. She's reached base all 4 times. A 2-1 on the outside edge for a strike, and it's 2-2. 5th time through the order for Butler. And the 2-2. Swung on and missed. Back-to-back strikeouts and back-to-back innings for McKenna Alexander as Larson gets past her, but the job done. 3 more here in the top half of the 7th inning for Butler, and they'll take a 4-run lead into the bottom half of the 7th inning, where the Hoyas will send 8, 9, and 1 to the plate in D.C. Hoya's down by 4 as we head to the bottom half of the 7th inning. 8 runs the last 2 frames for the Bulldogs to pull in front, and now Nina Starlow trying to start up a rally here in the bottom half of the inning. First pitch is in there for a strike, and it's 0-1. Starlow has reached base all 3 times, a single, a fielder's choice, and a walk. The 1-2er catches the bottom part of the zone. It's 0-2. Butler with a chance for some real momentum heading into next weekend, where they will take on a DePaul team that is going to be fighting desperately themselves. If Butler were to close this one out, then DePaul would be 5.5 games behind the Friars, or behind rather the Bulldogs, with 6 games left to go as Starlow grounds out to Hunt, and there's 1 away. That means that DePaul would simply have no margin for error. They would have to win all their games and hope that Butler lost the last 3 against Providence. Turner is not going to get the chance to bat here. Abby Koza will bat instead. Turner reached on 2 fielders' choices and an error, but Koza will get the chance to hit here and will take a first pitch for a strike. It's 0-1. Providence is not only going to have their say in winning the Big East potentially, but also in who makes that final spot. With both Butler and Georgetown still left to play the Friars. Georgetown first, and then Butler will end with perhaps the surprise champions. When you looked at that preseason poll, St. John's was favored to win it. The Johnnies are in 6th place right now. Providence picked to finish 5th. They're in the lead right now. Georgetown was almost unanimously picked to finish last. They have confounded expectations this year and are looking for one more big rally here in the 7th. To the third base side, spinning fair, Price with a strong throw across the diamond. And the Hoyas are down to their final out. A 11-batter, 5-run 6th inning. Standing up as the difference right now here in this one. And Brooke Rephan trying to keep this game alive for the Hoyas. Swings the first pitch. Price fields it on the hop. Throw across the diamond, not picked out by Alexander. And the Hoyas still have life. A low throw from from Price. Alexander couldn't pick it out of the turf infield. And the line will keep moving for Gabby Park. As it stands, Taylor Francis, who's 2 batters away, would be the tying run. First pitch to Park. On the outside edge, it's 0-1. A heavyweight bout between Butler and Georgetown here today to finish off a fascinating series. And it's 0-2. 2 huge innings for Butler have been the story of the weekend. The 9 in the 4th inning yesterday, the 5 in the 6th inning today. And now they're a strike away. The 0-2 to Park. It's a good 0-2 spot, just missed. The ever-dangerous Campos awaiting on deck. With the 3 runs that Butler scored in the 7th inning looming large as insurance now. The 1-2. Upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Park has already walked twice today. She does not have a hit on her ledger yet this afternoon. Ryland Dyer trying to finish things off. The 2-2 offering down the left field line, foul. Dyer, the 4th pitcher of the day for Butler. Who have had to scratch and claw their way through this one. Alex Johnson through 2 1/3. Maren Berger just 2 outs. Katie Petrin 2 full innings, and now Dyer trying for 2 full herself. Another 2-2. The count is full. Rephan will get the running start from first. It won't matter much given that her run will only matter in the context of 3 more. And the payoff pitch to Park is outside, and the Hoyas are still not done as the tying run will move into the on-deck circle for Georgetown. And this game that has had so many twists might be set up for one more. Campos has not needed the bat at all today when she has stepped up to the plate. She has been walked 3 times and has been hit by a pitch once. So no still official at-bats for Campos. And the first pitch is low and away. And you really, really can't afford to walk Campos here. That would send the tying run to the plate in the form of Taylor Francis. And that, I think, is what Ryan is having a chat with Ryland Dyer about. Although there has been a concerted effort to work around Campos this weekend, you simply can't do that in this spot. Francis on deck does not have a home run this year, by the way, which means that the freshman does not have one in her career, but it is now 2-0 against Campos. Does Campos get something to swing at here? Well, she got something to swing at, but was sitting on a fastball and got something else. And it's 2-1. The 2-1 offering is upstairs, 3 balls and a strike now. Campos perhaps waiting on her 4th walk of the day. (3-1). Went after it, and it's 3-2. And again, the Bulldogs a strike away. Campos knew that she would have had something to swing at there. Now another 3-2 offering is on the outside edge, strike 3. Ryland Dyer finishes it off, and the Bulldogs will win the series here in D.C. Hoyas leave 2 more runners on base, 13 on the day, and Butler takes down Georgetown 9-5. Here at the GW softball field, a 5-run 6th inning and 3 more in the 3rd, enough for the Bulldogs to come to the nation's capital and take the rubber match by the decisive score of 9-5. Bulldogs now on the season move to 19-17, 11-7 in conference play, and take a firm grasp of 4th in the conference. Georgetown falls to 15-19, 8-10 in Big East play, and will need a couple of huge weekends against Providence and UConn to find their way into the postseason. That will just about do it for us here in our nation's capital. For our entire crew, my name is Ben Curtis, saying so long and see you real soon. Your final score, Butler wins it 9-5.